My name is Dora. The night my sister drove home in her brand new $60,000 Tesla, I was handed a bill for $1,500 rent by my own parents. That was the moment I realized love in our family came with a price tag. If you've ever been treated like the responsible one just so everyone else could walk all over you, then hit that like button, subscribe, and stay till the end, because this is one of the most satisfying revenge stories you'll ever hear. I grew up in a suburb outside Portland, in a house that looked picture-perfect from the outside, white picket fence, hydrangeas along the porch, the smell of cinnamon rolls every Sunday morning. But inside, it was always about my sister Lana. Lana was the sunshine child, the kind of daughter who sneezed and got applauded for grace. Me? I was the one who should know better. From as early as I can remember, everything was tilted in her favor. When Lana forgot to feed the dog, Mom said, "Oh sweetheart, you're so busy with school." When I forgot, Dad called me irresponsible. By age 12 I was doing my own laundry, cooking my own meals, and helping Lana with her projects that always won awards with my work attached. She'd get a trophy, I'd get a thank you. Sometimes not even that. It's funny how you don't realize you're the backup plan until you grow up and start to want things for yourself. I was 22 when it happened. I had been working part-time as a graphic designer while saving up to move out. Every paycheck was a small victory, each dollar a step closer to freedom. Lana was 18, about to graduate high school. She barely worked, barely helped around the house, but you'd think she discovered cure for cancer the way my parents celebrated her. Banners on the fence, party planners in the living room, a whole buffet arriving for 50 guests. I was happy for her, at least I told myself I was, until I saw the surprise gift parked in our driveway. A sleek white Tesla Model 3 with a giant red bow. My jaw actually locked. Everyone screamed. Mom cried. Dad took photos. Lana covered her mouth and gasped as if she didn't know it was coming, but she did. She'd been dropping Tesla brochures on the kitchen counter for months. Then Dad turned to me and said, half joking, "Don't worry Dora, maybe when you get your master's we'll get you a car too." I didn't even have a bachelor's yet. I'd been taking community college courses while working 2 jobs to stay afloat. They knew that. They just didn't care. The next day, while Lana was posting car selfies and tagging #blessed, I found an envelope on my bed. It was a folded sheet of paper from my father. "Dora, since you're working now, we think it's time you start contributing $1,500 per month for room and board. Love, Mom and Dad." I read it twice. No joke. No emoji. No conversation. Just a number and a signature. My hands actually shook. I walked into the living room and found them watching TV. "Dad, what is this?" I asked, holding the note. He didn't even look away from the screen. "It's called responsibility, Dora. You make money now. We're not running a charity." "But you just bought Lana a car." "That's different," Mom cut in. "She's starting college. She needs safe transportation. You already have a job, you should learn to pay your way." Something inside me snapped quietly that day. Not with a shout, not with tears, just a cold, clean break. For a week, I went through the motions. Work. Dinner. Sleep. But I stopped talking to them. I ate in my room. I paid nothing. Every morning, Lana would swing her keys and brag about the Tesla's autopilot. Every night, I searched apartments online under the covers. I found a tiny studio downtown with peeling walls and a leaky sink, but it was mine. I signed the lease the next day, paid the deposit, and packed when they weren't home. When I left my key on the counter, I wrote a note. "Don't worry, Dad. I'm taking responsibility for my own life." Then I walked out without a sound. My new place smelled like paint and dust, but for the first time in years I felt peace. No slamming doors. No comparisons. Just silence and a cheap second-hand desk where I could draw for hours. It wasn't easy. Bills piled up, clients ghosted me, and I survived on ramen and caffeine. But I was free. And freedom tastes better than approval. Months passed. I started freelancing full-time, designing brand kits for small businesses online. People loved my work. I was learning to price my value, something my family never did. One day, a tech startup found my portfolio on LinkedIn and offered me a contract. I almost cried when I saw the number, $6,000 a month. 6 months later, they made it permanent. I bought my own car. I used Honda, but mine. It was a rainy evening when my phone buzzed with Mom's name for the first time in a year. I stared at it for a long time before answering. "Hi, Mom." "Dora, sweetheart, how have you been? We miss you." Her voice sounded lighter, sweeter than I remembered. Like a sales call. "I've been good. Busy." "That's wonderful," she said too quickly. Then a pause. "So, your father lost his job last month. And, well, Lana's car payments are piling up. We might need some help." The silence that followed was heavy. Like years of pain crystallizing into clarity. "You need help from me? Well, you're doing so well now, and we thought." I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. "Mom, when I needed help, you handed me a bill. Now you're handing me a begging bowl. Do you see how that feels? Dora, please, your father's pride is hurting." So was mine. 4 years. I hung up before the tears could betray me. For weeks after that phone call, I kept replaying my mother's words, not because they hurt, but because they finally didn't. There was a time when I'd have rushed to help, desperate for a scrap of gratitude. But now, all I felt was distance. The girl who once begged to be seen was gone. I was building something of my own, and it was time they felt what neglect really costs. I didn't block their numbers. I wanted them to watch. Every new client, every post I made on LinkedIn about my work, every photo of my small victories, I made sure they could see it. I wasn't rubbing it in, I was teaching them what absence of support looked like when turned into power. A year later, my design agency had 3 employees and over 30 corporate clients. I registered the business in my name, Dora Designs LLC. Then one day, out of nowhere, I got a message on Facebook from Lana. "Hey sis, long time no see. Heard you're doing great. I have a business idea. Maybe you can help me with branding?" Red heart. I almost laughed. Her business idea turned out to be an online boutique, funded by my parents, of course. They wanted me to design her logo and website for family discount. I stared at the email for a minute, then typed my reply. "Of course, Lana. My standard branding package is $8,000 upfront. I'll send the invoice today." 5 minutes later, Dad called. "Dora. You can't charge your sister like she's a stranger." "Oh, I'm sorry," I said sweetly. "I thought family helped each other out." He hung up. They didn't hire me. But 2 months later, I found her business page, built with a $50 template that looked awful. The comment section was brutal. Customers complained about late orders and terrible design. The page disappeared within 3 weeks. By the end of that year, I got another call, this time from Dad himself. His voice was small, strained. "Dora, we're in trouble. Mortgage behind, car repossessed. Can we stay with you for a bit?" I looked around my condo, the one I bought with my own name on the deed. There was space. There was warmth. But there was no room for hypocrisy. "Dad," I said quietly, "I'd love to help. But remember what you said? You're not running a charity." Silence. Then, for the first time, my father whispered, "We're proud of you." It was too late. I wished him well, hung up, and watched the rain hit my window like tiny rounds of applause from the universe. Months passed. I didn't hear from them again, not a call, not a message. But the internet has a strange way of whispering secrets. One afternoon, as I sipped coffee in my office, a client forwarded me a local news article. It was about a suburban family in debt, forced to sell their home after a failed luxury boutique venture. There was a photo attached. My parents. Lana standing between them, hair messy, makeup running, holding a cardboard box. The Tesla, gone. The perfect picture, shattered. I stared at the screen for a long time. There was no joy, no gloating laughter. Just peace. Because for the first time in my life, they finally understood what I'd lived through. They had chosen Lana as their golden child, feeding her comfort while teaching me lessons. Now, they were the ones learning that unconditional love, once broken, doesn't come back on demand. A few weeks later, I ran into Lana at a local grocery store. She looked smaller somehow, not physically, but in spirit. Gone were the designer bags, the polished nails. She stood by the canned food aisle, checking prices. She saw me and froze. "Dora, hey," she said softly, trying to smile. "Hi, Lana." Things have been rough," she started, eyes glistening. "Mom and Dad, they're staying in a rental. It's tiny. Dad's been sick. I didn't realize how hard things were for you before." I tilted my head. "You didn't want to realize." Her lips trembled. "I'm sorry. I really am." I wanted to hate her, the girl who used to laugh at my cheap shoes, who flaunted her Tesla keys like medals. But standing there, I saw not arrogance, but a mirror. A version of me who never learned to fight for herself. "It's okay, Lana," I said quietly. "I'm glad you're learning." She nodded, tears slipping down her cheek. Before walking away, she whispered, "You turned out amazing, Dora." That hit harder than any apology. That night, I drove home, past the same streets that once led to their perfect house. It was dark now, the lights gone, the sign for sale standing like a gravestone for old memories. And I realized something. My revenge wasn't the success. It wasn't watching them fall. It was walking away, and never needing their validation again. The silence I once feared had become my greatest freedom. After that night, I stopped looking back. Not out of anger, but out of choice. I had learned something my parents never taught me. Peace isn't about being right, it's about being free. I poured my energy into work. My company grew faster than I imagined. Clients referred more clients. I was invited to design conferences, podcasts, and even a local magazine feature titled "The Girl Who Built Her Own Name." When the issue came out, the photo of me, smiling, confident, sitting in my bright office, was shared all over social media. And I knew my family saw it. Because Mom commented on the post with a simple heart emoji. For a moment, I stared at it. That small red heart carried a weight of decades, guilt, regret, pride, maybe all of it mixed. I didn't delete it. I didn't reply either. Some messages don't need words. A few weeks later, my doorbell rang. When I opened it, I found my parents standing there. They looked older, tired, humble in a way I'd never seen. "Dora," Mom said softly. "We wanted to see you. Not for money, just to say we're sorry." Dad nodded beside her. "We were wrong. About a lot of things." I stayed silent, heart thudding, unsure whether to cry or slam the door. Then I saw it, the same vulnerability I used to beg for as a child. It had taken years and failure to bring it out of them. "Come in," I said finally. We sat at my kitchen table, the same kind of table they used to lecture me at. Only this time I was the one offering coffee. They told me everything, the debts, the regret, how losing their house made them realize what they'd truly lost, me. When they finished, Dad looked down. "We don't expect forgiveness. We just wanted you to know, we're proud of you." My throat tightened. For once, I didn't feel small. I didn't feel like the forgotten child. I felt whole. "I forgive you," I said quietly. "But we can't go back. We can only move forward, with honesty." Tears ran down Mom's cheeks. That's all we hope for. As they left, I watched them walk down the hall, hand in hand. It wasn't triumph I felt, it was release. That night, I sat on my balcony, city lights twinkling below. I thought about the girl who once got a rent bill instead of a gift, and how that pain had forged something unbreakable inside her. They gave me responsibility as punishment. I turned it into independence as power. That, I realized, was the sweetest revenge of all. It's strange how life balances the scales when you least expect it. For years, I thought justice would mean making them suffer, that my revenge had to look like their downfall. But now, sitting here in the home I built, surrounded by peace I earned, I realized something deeper. Real revenge isn't destruction. It's evolution. The world didn't need me to shout or expose them. It just needed me to succeed where they thought I couldn't. And I did. I built my business from nothing but late nights, rejections, and quiet determination. I became the kind of woman who no longer needed anyone's validation, especially not from those who tried to break her. Every design I created carried a piece of my story, of transformation through pain. And every time a client said, "You're incredible, Dora," I silently whispered to my younger self, "You did it. You proved them wrong." If you've ever felt invisible in your own family, if you've ever been treated like your dreams didn't matter, I want you to remember this. Sometimes, walking away is the loudest revenge. Sometimes, peace is the prize they'll never understand. And sometimes, your silence becomes the echo of their regret. They wanted to teach me responsibility. Instead, I learned independence. They wanted to make me feel small. Instead, I built something too big for their approval to define. Forgiveness wasn't for them, it was for me. Because the moment I forgave, I took my power back completely. The ending scene. A few weeks later, I got a text from my dad. We sold what was left of the old house. Starting over. Thank you for listening that day. I smiled. Because life really does come full circle. Only this time, I was driving my own story forward. As I grabbed my car keys, my own car, earned with my own effort, I looked in the mirror. The girl who once cried herself to sleep over being unwanted was gone. In her place stood a woman who didn't need anyone's permission to feel enough. And as I stepped out into the morning sun, I whispered, "This time, I'm driving my own life, and it's all paid in full." If this story gave you chills, smash that like button, and tell me in the comments. Have you ever been treated unfairly by your family, only to rise stronger than ever? I'd love to hear your story. And if you believe karma always finds its way back, subscribe for more powerful true stories like this. Where justice isn't loud, it's poetic. Because sometimes the best revenge is simply becoming everything they said you never could.